Yes, sir.
Okay. So yesterday what we have done, yesterday we have completed mapper part coding. So by explaining the what is a mapper and how the mapper function will work, I have explained that and we have done the coding for it. And same for reducer also. I have explained what is a reducer. Reducer method is whenever you have a aggregation, whenever you want to take output of mapper 1, output of mapper 2, output of mapper 3, output of mapper 4, and you want to aggregate all the values, we will go with a reducer. Let's assume that you have only one mapper. You don't want to do any aggregation part like summing, collecting the data and keeping a single value. The aggregation like some kind of average, min, max, these kind of operations you don't want to do. So we will not go with the reducer. Okay.
One
If,
reducer can handle how many mappers?
no limit. Okay, but it's totally depends on your performance. So you want to improve the performance and you are okay with having a multiple output files, we will go with the reducer, multiple reducers. Okay, even though if we have see in the real time what will happen once the mapper output comes and it will process and it will go to reducer, and reducer output will not keep in a flat files in HDFS. Output will come in the flat files, right? We will not keep the same flat files in the uh, uh, HDFS. It means that that is not the final output. Your client, for the client we cannot give the flat files. We will keep that output into some other database or some other place where we can process, we can produce the reports, right? So your map and read is processed. What will happen? You will be having only flat files. The output will come in the flat files. So the output will not just give to the client no with the flat files. We will put the output of reducer into some database or some other hive table, some other HBase, some other any other database where we can generate the reports. Okay, let's look at guys here. So let me open this. Oh, I have shut it down this. Let me restart. So how many of you have coded the mapper part and reduce part? You guys done the coding for mapper and reducer? Anisha, Kishore?
No, Veera, I'll play it today. Yesterday I didn't get time.
Okay. Masood, Sai, Nikesh. Let's. I think it is getting started. No one did the coding for classes, mapper and reducer. I'm opening Eclipse. Okay, by the time it loads, so whatever the output comes from the mapper 1, mapper 2, mapper 3, mapper 4 and so on, that output, let's see what will happen. The reduce also one of the task. Okay, map is one of the task and reduce also one of the task. This task will be launched in any one of the machine, as soon as they launch the reduce task, right? Let's assume that for time being only one reducer. Okay, when they launch this reduce task, right, what we will do, whoever completes the map, see, it will not wait to complete all the people. So whoever completes, let's say map 1 is completed, map 2 is running, map 3 is running, map 4 is completed. Now whichever the machine it will launch, it need the data into that, it needs the data to process in that machine. Okay, what it will do, it will start copy the data from these machines. It will start copy the data from those machines, and and it will start the sort and shuffle. Once all the mappers are completed, it will just copy the data and others are completed, then it will take the data from them as well, then it will start shuffle and sort. What is the shuffle and sort? Very simple guys, shuffle and sort, if you remember, as I shown in the last classes, as I shown in the last classes, let's assume that you have some keywords like this. Sorting means you guys know it, it will alphabetical order, it will sort. Okay, so the map output, how it will come? K2 V2. Let's assume that the K2 is like, let me put in this way, Aparna, some value came 10, Harika, some value came 15, Anisha, some value came 20, Kishore, some value came, again Aparna, some value came, say 30, again some value came, Harika, Anisha. Now what is the keys here? This is the key, this is the value, right? So now what will happen, it will collect all the output. After collecting this output, what it will do, it will keep in alphabetical order. The first letter, who comes first, Aparna or Anisha? Anisha will come first, as per the alphabetical order. Anisha, here one is there, here one is there, let's assume that. So what it will say, 20 comma 25. Next Aparna, let's assume that. So next Aparna will come 10 comma 30 comma 25, let's assume that. So it means it will group, it will take the key, it will group by the specific key and it will order into order. So now after doing this, all this complete order, one key value pair will go to one reduce method, other key value pair will go to another reduce method, one key value pair will go to the reduce method. So that's how it will work. Yeah, again it is showing some problem here. I don't know why every time it's coming this kind of problem. Okay, so fine. You may ask, Ravi, this mapper does not have a main method. Reducer does not have a main method. Then how it will work? Then how it will work? It will work such a way that you will be having one driver class. You will be having one driver class. Why we are calling driver class? Because that is the guy who will be having entry point to your application, your Mapreduce code. So that guy will have a main method, And what that guy will do, that guy will create a job object, and after creating a job object, that guy will have access to your map method and reduce method. Let me show you that. Okay, here there will be something called driver class. The program will start executing from the driver class, and this guy will be created job object. This is the program we were writing. So right click, let me open your mapper class, let me open your Redis class. Okay, now you will be having something called driver class. Word count driver, because he drives, he will start the execution, so this guy should have a main method. Okay, now let's look at it before getting into mapper class. So my class is my own class. It should act as a driver class. It means it should have a driver class behaviors, correct? This class should have a driver class behavior. To get that, what we will do, extends configured. There is some class called configured. Okay, and implements, there is a uh, call tool. There is an interface called tool, Apache tool. From Apache Hadoop, there is a tool, there is a uh, interface called tool. We will talk about all these things. I will explain what is a configured, I will explain what is a tool. For time being, just remember, just keep it in mind that you will extend the configured class, and you will implement the tool. So tool is an interface. That interface has a method called run method. Okay, so you have to override the run method. So here, before getting into details, what we will do, we will create a configure class. What is a configure class? So configuration, what is a configuration? So configuration is something like you will be having all configuration, no, Mapreduce configurations. What is my, how many mappers has to launch, how many reducer has to launch, and what is my input split size, right? So these configurations will be there, no? So those we will keep it here. So what happened, why it is showing red color? Syntax error, configuration variable declared expected after this token. Which after this token? I didn't get it. Something is missing there. What happened? Why this error is coming? Syntax error to take tokens configuration variable declared expected after this token. So we'll be writing, let me finish the code, we'll see what is. Set us get us for this configuration. Configuration conf equal to null. This is what it is expecting. So configuration is a class, we should not write like that, no? So we will write set us get us for that. Source generate set us get us. So I'm getting the configuration, I'm setting the configuration in this. Okay, now in your main method, what we will do, there is something called tool runner. There is something called tool runner. Int result, I'm just taking the result. I'll tell you that this why I'm taking result. Int result tool runner dot run method, where you will pass the configuration object. New, you can create a new configuration. New configuration. What is tool? Tool is nothing but your driver class. So here you need to specify word count driver. Okay, and the arguments are what are the arguments. Here comes aux. What are arguments comes to this method? I'll tell you what is the arguments. These arguments are nothing but your, oh, sorry, we are writing in wrong place. It should be the main method. I said it's main method, but I started writing in this. It should be in main methods. So from main method we are calling tool runner dot run method, where I'm passing the configuration and where I'm passing the word count, your driver class, and where I'm passing the arguments. These arguments are nothing but your input output. These are arguments are nothing but your input and output. So it is telling that there may be chances it may throw some exceptions. Those exceptions we need to handle. Those exceptions we need to handle. That exception is nothing but this exception. Now this run method returns some result. This run method returns some result. If you see here, it returns the integer value. So that integer value come to result. So that result is if result equal to 0, you just do some operations. So if result equal to 0, say some operation, say success, and else if you get any number apart from 0, if you get any number, you say fail. You will do some other operation here. Okay. Now this run method actually ideally internally it goes to the tool runner class. Internally it will call this method run method. So what we need to do in this run method? So in this run method we need to create a job object. Job wc equal to word count. Okay. Here you will be creating a new job by passing word count. Your word count job equal to, so you copy from here. I need to check from which package I need to take. So that's the one. We have to select the proper package, otherwise it will give what happened this, that we will see later. I need to take it from right package. Go to src, go to my driver class, jobs. You just take driver class will be same to all the driver classes. You can take any driver class. Okay, let me check here which driver class, which job I have taken. From which job I have taken? From the Mapreduce job. From the Mapreduce job. Okay, from Mapreduce job I have taken the job. So job WC equal to new job of. I need to pass the configuration. So where I'll say here get conf. Anyway, I have method get conf method is there. The get conf will give me the get conf configuration object. So this job object, from which job object it came? Mapreduce only. Correct. So from here, then what you will do? Your WC. WC is nothing but your job. Job dot set job name, set jars by class, and job dot set name, set job name. You will set the some job name here for our identification. Once the job is launched, we can see what is the name of the job and what is WC dot your what is a mapper, set mapper, set mapper class. So your mapper class is nothing but here it is trying to access your mapper class, this word count mapper class, word count mapper class dot class. The same way we need to set WC dot set. Here in this job is nothing you are doing, whatever you have done in other classes, right? You need to set here. Set reducer class, word count reducer class. You should say dot class file. And what is your mapper output? K2. You need to tell here what is our mapper output. Set mapper, set map output key class. What is the map output key? So what is our map output key here? What type of key it is? Text. And v2 is long writable, that you need to specify here. So from which text I need to take? From Hadoop IO. Then you need to set set your map or map output value class. You need to set your map output class long writable dot class. And what is your final output? WC dot set output class. Final output, like your what is your final key? I mean K3 dot class WC dot set output value class long writable dot class. You have setted your configuration, you have setted the classes, you have setted the word count and mapper, reducer, your K3 V3 and K2 V2 and K3 V3. So is there anything is missing to set? Okay, we set that done. So this is okay. This file input format. You need to set these three. I'll tell you what is these three. So I'm just copying from here. So the first one is file input format. The first one is file input format. Let me Control Shift tab. I don't know how to bring it back. So, okay, fine. So this should be WC. Look at guys what it is. What I'm doing here. I'll tell you what I'm doing. This is input format. I was telling you, right? There is one more property that's by default it will take your input format. By default it will take the text input file format. Set input format class. What type of input you are going to give to your job. So but by default we are using text input format. Text input format. So we don't need to specify that. You don't need to specify that. By default it will take. So you don't need to specify that. Suppose if you are using a sequence file, you have to tell here. Suppose you are taking something else, you have to tell here. That we will see in the coming classes. So I have set my input path. Where is my input? Which folder my input is there? From where I need to take input? From where I need to take input? From where I need to process it, and from where I need to keep it. Like in this diagram, this path. This in HDFS where it is. In HDFS where it is. Okay. Any doubt in the driver class? I know that it looks like very new to you guys. So we can this never change. The structure never change. The structure never change. This is the main important method. The structure never change, because any Mapreduce code you write, you should have to set your mapper class. You should have to set your reducer class. You should have to set you this all these things you have to set. And this is the one I have written this code for what to say um, normally what will happen if the directories already exist in the HDFS. If the data is already directory is already exist in the HDFS, we cannot recreate it. If you guys remember, it says that the directories already exist, I cannot create. So this program we may be running multiple times to show you. So if the directories already exist, it will says that I cannot create output directory because it already exists, so it will job fail. So I don't want my job fail for because of the directories already exist. So what I'm doing here, I'm taking the location of that. If I'm checking whether the exists or not. If it is exists, just delete and launch the job. Okay, if it exists, let's remove that folder and launch the job. So that is the reason I have written this code. This is not mandatory. This is not mandatory code. The rest of things are mandatory code. You can say this, you can say use this dot class. You can say this dot get classes. So I'll explain each and everything here in the later point of time, because we'll be seeing this program from the last 3 days. Let's complete this program. Everyone understand? Any doubt? Anisha? Anisha? Kishore? Masood? Sahi? Nikesh?
Uh, no, Veera.
Okay. Okay, I think it's good. So the first thing, let me explain one more time from the driver class. Okay, from unwanted libraries are there, let me remove them. Okay. Control Shift O to remove the unwanted imports. Control Shift O to remove the unwanted input. So you have to write your class, you have to extend, configure and implement the tools. Why we need to do this, I'll explain in detailedly, not to worry at this point. And we have the configuration object created, which is initially null, and I'm setting the configuration. See, this set method and get method is getting called in the internal of your framework. That is our tool framework. The tool interface will be tool runner is calling this. I'll show you that. The tool runner is running the calling the set, and the get is anyway we're asking from, we are taking from here. We're using the get here. Okay, and this is the main method entry point. So as soon as you enter into the main, it will look for the tool runner dot run method by taking your configuration, by taking the word count, your driver your driver object and the input output parameters. So input output parameters comes to your main method only. No, suppose you are doing something, let's say you want to pass the command line arguments. Do we discussed about the command line arguments before in Java? Do we discussed about the command line arguments? Anisha, Kishore? Masood? Okay, if we missed, we didn't discuss about the command line arguments.
No, I guess.
Is it okay? Sorry guys, I might missed it. Let me say this is my sample.java. So let me explain here. So it's very simple one. So nothing complicated. Maybe I missed it. So let's say I have a simple Java program. Hi, welcome, something, right? So now I want to print something, whatever I'm passing from the runtime. Command line arguments means at the time of runtime, I'll be passing uh, some some parameters to my job. I'll be passing some parameters to my job. Those parameters I'll make use in my program. Let's say here I'll be passing here what are the parameters you pass from there. It will come to your array, your string array. It means that your main method is your main method is okay to accept any number of parameters, any number of parameters, any number of parameters. Arg of 1, you should not say it like this. Arg of 1, arg of 0. The initial parameter is arg of 0. So the same way, I'm also going to send one more argument, arg of 1. Okay. So now from where I'll get the arg1, arg2? I'll get this arg1, arg2 from the command line. So when you write your Java, C Java. So normally when you're executing the program, you will execute Java, Java C will compile like this. Yes or no? In the terminal, but we are using a tool, we will right click and we'll just say run as Java application, right? So Java sample, and you will pass the arguments. Let's say I'm passing here two arguments like this. Space is a separator. Don't give comma. Space is the separator. Veera space Ravi space. I can give Kumar and all those things after space. It means I'm passing two parameters to my class. Okay, this is called runtime argument. So Ravi, it is a console. Then if it is a Eclipse, how will you pass? So if it is Eclipse, I'll go run as run configurations, run configurations. From the run configurations, I'll go to sample Java, right? This is our class com.txt. I'll go to arguments. I'll go to arguments. Here I will give arguments like this. Space is the separator. As I said, space is the separator. Space is the separator. So you can apply and run them. As soon as you run them, see here, I got the argument 1 Veera, argument 2 Ravi, and I'm not printing argument 3, 4 and all. I didn't print them. So it means whatever you pass at the runtime. So now I pass at the runtime Veera and Ravi. So I want to pass something else at the runtime. I want to pass at the something else from the runtime. So I'll pass here Java, J2E, Hadoop, Spark, apply, run. But it will print only first two because we are printing only first two. So it will come like this. So these are called runtime arguments. These are called runtime arguments. Those arguments, whatever the arguments you pass at the runtime, those arguments will command line arguments. Some people say command line arguments, some people say runtime arguments. So these arguments will come to main method. From the main method, you can make use of them. So you can use arg of 0, arg of 1. You can assign it to other variables. You can write your if-else conditions, whatever you want to play with them, like normal variables. Right? The same way here, your driver class is taking arguments. So what arguments is required? So if you are going to process your Mapreduce, you should have input path. That is one argument. The second argument is you have to tell what is your output. You should tell where I need to. So I have processed the data, where I need to put output. You need to tell them, right? So one argument is input, mandatory arguments I'm telling. One argument is input argument, other argument is output argument. So these arguments has to be there in your code. Let's look at here where I'm making use of those arguments. Look at guys here, arg of 0, sorry here. Arg of 0, arg of 1. It means I'm expecting my input as arg of 0. I'm expecting my output as arg of 1. So based on your code, Here suppose you written 1 here, 0 here. Based on your code, you have to specify input output. So whether input has to come first position or second position. So based on what? Based on the code you written in your driver class. Okay, those are called input arguments. Now, so driver class is done. Now we need to run the program, right? We need to run the program. So while running the program, I need to show you something here, that is there are two modes to run. There are two modes to run. First one is local runner mode. To run the local runner mode, no jobs are required. No Hadoop is required. I mean, no Hadoop need to run. No need to run the Hadoop jobs, Hadoop services. You don't need to run the Hadoop services. Okay, you can execute it in a normal, like a core Java program. Execute as normal core Java program. Normal program. Okay. Other one is cluster mode. MR mode. People will call MR mode. So to do that, our Hadoop services has to running. Hadoop services should running. Your cluster should be running, and it will launch multiple mappers. It will split the jobs into mappers and reducers. It will mappers, reducers, and output will be there. So your local runner mode, you can directly run as a normal Java program, as I shown. Right click, run as. You can do that from the Eclipse itself. To go to MR mode, what we need to do, we need to create a jar file, because I'm going to launch in the cluster. Create a jar from your code, export it some location. After that, I need to use the Hadoop command. Hadoop jar, path of the jar. I have shown this one sometime before in the very second class, I think. Your input, your driver class name, input, output. So we should give like this. Okay. So today, as part of this, we will be seeing both the modes. Okay. First, to look at the local runner mode, how it will work. First, look at the local runner mode. Okay. So how to execute local runner mode, guys? Right click. So before that, you need to identify which is the data I'm going to process. First, identify your data. Let's take your data. You take your data. Any data you can take from any place. Let's say I want to take some sample data, or else you can create some. You create yourself. Do you guys see here something called MR data? MR input. There is something called MR input. So MR input is MR input. MR L output. What is this MR L output? Local output. MR output. Multi output. Okay. In the MR input, I'm going to create some file. Sorry, I don't need this. I'm going to create one document. Word count data dot txt. If you give txt, you have to use as a dot txt. So I'm opening this file. So in this file, I need to keep some data, right? So the data I can get it from your wiki or whatever you take. You can go with whatever you wish. Java wiki. Okay, let me remove these numbers. If the numbers are there, you may not able to. You can. This is no problem at all. You can do that. So my intention is, don't remove all special characters. Remove all special characters. Let me, because to see the proper output, then nothing else, guys. To see the proper output. Okay. You'll be seeing numbers. I don't want the numbers also. I'll first time being I'll remove the numbers as well. For time being I'll remove the numbers and I'll show you that. Here some numbers are there. 1991, that kind of numbers let it be. Okay. This is my input. From this input, what I'm going to do from this input, I'm going to count each word how many times came. Java how many times came, you know, computer how many times came, programming how many times came, language how many times came. I'm going to tell that. Okay, this is my input. This is my input. So now I have identified my input. So now you have to execute your word count program. How to execute? Right click on your driver class. Right click on your driver class. Run as run configurations. Why should I do this? Because you are going to run with some configurations. You are going to run some configurations. You may not be able to see all these things. What you need to do, you will be seeing the Java application. So as soon as you see the Java application, double click on that. So when you double click on that, what will happen? Your driver word count program will be displayed here. But in my case, it will be displaying so many. You guys not to worry about it. So you should be taken very carefully whether it's coming from the same package or same project or different project. So in my case it is some different project. No, what is your project name? Example 2. No, where is our 630? Mapreduce 630. No. So we will I will do one more time. Now it came. So this is our driver class. Why 3 4? Because I have some say with the same name multiple are there, that's the reason. So this is our project name, this is our main class. So we should be very careful whether we are selecting proper class, because you may having the so many classes in so many places, right? So go here and you should specify what is your input path. So what is my input path here? This is my input. Take this, copy, and you should take the specific file. So can't I take the complete folder? You can take the complete folder. If you take a complete folder, how many files are there in that folder? It will be processed everything. So but we will see that later. That's also separate example is there for we have. So this is my input. This is my input. My output also I want in the same location. Let's say I want the output also in the same location. So space, give one space, then paste it and say WC. So you can give any name. The folder should not exist. Okay, the output folder should not exist. I'm giving the a non-existing folder which is saying WC or WC1, saying that first run, word count first run, apply, run. So as soon as you click on that, your job is executing as a normal Java program. As a normal Java program. It is not launched mappers, it is not reducer and all, you cannot see here because we are running in the local runner mode. So these are called counters. These are called counters. How many jobs has been, I mean, how much data has been read, how much data has been processed, that counters, this is information you can see. Okay, short and shuffle, all these counters we can see. We will explain we have a separate session for the counters at this point, not to worry. Okay, go back and see whether the folder is created or not. This folder is created. Let's go inside. You will be having success file, underscore success file. Underscore success file represents that your job is success. Your job is success. And there is something called part hyphen r file. What is this part hyphen r file? This part hyphen r file is the file. No, we it executed wrong thing. Okay. Part hyphen r is the file which is represent your part. Sorry guys, we are in correct output or no? Okay, r means is reducer output. Part hyphen r means reducer output file. Something went wrong, I think something is not taken the proper input. Let me give you one more time the proper input in the driver class. run as run configuration. Let's check is the input is the correct or not. Word count data.txt correct only. Local mr input data.txt apply. You no need to run, you can go ahead and check your logic also. You can see here which map is coming, which reducer is coming. Okay, same only. Again go back here, reload this. Only why these are coming, maybe the logic is wrong in your mapper or reducer class. That's the reason. Taking tokenizing, taking setting into this and emitting. This is my map. Okay, let's look at reducer. So what do, yeah, mm, they're taking some correct one, maybe logic is wrong, but logic maybe we might have missed some, something we might have missed. We will check that. This is the mapper, this is the reducer. We don't need to clean up, and we have done this only. Then okay, I think what we are doing here, the wrong one. We're setting the sum, so we should not set the sum every time. We should set the sum once we completed the process. We should put it here. Sorry, not this. So local runner mode is to check whether your logic is correct or not. So that is what I'm doing now. So whether my logic is correct or not, I'm just checking. So once you set the parameter, you want to execute for the same parameters. You don't need to every time go and set it. Once you set it, is enough for the same parameters. You want the different parameters, you can set them. Let's go back. No, still same output. Still same output. I am some small mistake we are doing because we are fetching the last records. It means my, let me see this. Correct only. So let me see my, let me close this. My word count program. What I'm doing, I'm taking the word and setting the word. Problem is this. Problem is this. We didn't put the block of this. Why? Because that day I was explaining, I missed it. So if you say block, then only it will execute all this. Otherwise, what it will do? Always it will execute the last line only. Last line only. Every time it will write last line only. right? It will take last line only, that's the reason. Okay, now it will come. So reducer, nothing has nothing wrong in this. Reducer also fine. Some I'm putting at the last, correct only. So go to a driver class, right click, run as Java application. As soon as you say run as Java application, it will start running. Now this bytes of return is changed. So that's why, that's the way I found, okay, it's the result is not come properly. Now the result came properly. By seeing the counters, you can understand whether it's properly writing or not. See here now. Now the output came properly. 2007 comma came once, 2016 comma it came once. Your A as came only once, right? Java came 13 times. Arcle came 2 times and Arcle comma. You may say that what is the difference between these two? So here the comma is there. It's considered comma also. So if you want, you can remove them. So this Oracle comma and Arcle, it's showing the different. Okay. Otherwise, if you don't have a comma, it could have been 3. So we didn't handle those stop words. These are comma, full stop. These are called stop words. We didn't handle them. Sun came 5 times. D came 3 times. A came 4 times. So like that, we can find the counts here. So I'm getting all the counts for each and every word. This is the word which came this many times. This is the word it came this many times. Now this is a local runner mode. So how will I run in the cluster mode? Fine, Ravi. I have tested my logic is working fine. Now I want to run in the cluster mode. So to keep it to run in the cluster mode, you need to export a jar. You need to create a jar. Select the files. What are the files you are writing? What are the files you have modifying? Right click, select all the files or select your project. Either select your project or select the only files. Export, export, go to jar, next, go to jar, next. Here you need to give jar path name. You need to complete jar path name because I have already, there is a path called in the desktop I have something path called jars. So I'm going to give here saying that mr or word count wc 630. I'm saying mr wc 630 dot jar. Okay. So next, nothing is there here. Just say finish. It will give some warning. You can ignore that. So it's just a warning. Say okay. Okay. Now the jar is created. Whether the jar is created or not, you can go ahead and check. In my case, it's in desktop. Desktop, there is something called jars. Jars. We have created WC630. Where is the WC630? This is our jar name. WC630. Okay. Now how to launch the job? So I could have started the services by the time. Let's start the services because to run in MR mode, our cluster should be running. To run in MR mode, our cluster should be running. Let's look at it. It is started running. Now by the time you can prepare your command. So I'll prepare the command here for sake of reusability. So command is Hadoop jar path of the jar. What is my path of the jar? Desktop jars. Take this path. Take this path and you specify your WC-630 dot jar. This is your jar name and you need to give your driver class name. Your driver class name, this is mandatory. Fully qualified driver class name. Fully qualified driver class name. Fully qualified means com.test.word count driver. So look at here what I'm going to do. Here you need to give com.test.driver space. You should not give dot class driver and you should give your input path. So here whatever the input you are going to give, that input should be HDFS input. Whatever the input you are going to give there, that input should be HDFS input. That should not be local input. That should not be local input. So I'm going to give HDFS input. I'm going to give HDFS input. So let's take input from training. So I'm taking from the training because it's very simple. And I'm taking a bigger file this time. So I want to show you how many mappers will launch, how many reducers will launch. I'm going to take this. This is my file name. This is my file. This is very big file on 273 MB file. This is my input. This is my input, and I'm going to give my output. The training one only, WC 630, W3 630. This is my command. So let's check whether your job is services started running or not. Just say APS, JPS. Yes, all the services are there. Name node is there, data node is there, resource manager, node manager, and all are there. Now go take the command. What are the command you have typed before, and come here, paste it, or you can type it here also. Okay. Now press enter. Press enter. So the warning, you ignore the warning, you not to worry. It is started connecting to resource manager. It's connected. Total input paths, it found only one input path. And you guys can look at here. Number of splits, 3 splits. I'm submitting the job and it's created the job ID. Mapper is launching and Reducer also getting launched. And also you find your Uber mode. So I'll be explaining you what is Uber mode equal to false. I'll explain all these things. Okay. Keep observing these things, guys. Map 30%, reduce 0%, because till map completes, it cannot. Till map completes, it cannot. Reduce cannot start. 48%, because it's a little bigger file. That's why it is taking this much time. So and that too, we have in pseudo mode. Only one name node, one data node. So that's another reason. Okay, if you look at here, as soon as the 48%, so it's not actually mandatory to 48%. As soon as it's completing some of the jobs, your reducer started launching. How come, Ravi? You said that once the mapper complete, then only reduce start. How come? So as I explained before, if in this 48%, maybe some of the mappers might be completed, some of the mappers might be completed. So that mapper it started a copy phase. So this is called copy phase. Now it started copying the data. That's why it is showing 11% on reducer side. So now it's in copy phase. From the reducer side, it's in copy phase. Still mapper is running. Still mappers are running. Still mappers are running. Because as I said, I have given a little bigger file, so that is another reason. Still running. %99 still mapper is showing, Redis is showing 11% only. Mapper is completed 100%. Now Redis has to start. Redis is 22%. Yep. Job is completed. These are the config. These are the you can see this what you call counters. Um, why is map launched 5 and 2 are killed due to some maybe unable to slots or some is not able to process. So maybe my block size is changed. Did it change the block size? Okay, I don't know. It should be supposed to be 9 blocks, 9 mappers. I'll check that now later. It's not really matter now at this point. Okay, go back. Yeah. So go to your location where your output. What is the output path you given? Training. Go here. This is the file we'll have taken. Actually, the file block size is 120 MB. So I was using before 32 MB, but for specifically this file is the 120 MB. So maybe that is the reason it launched only 3 mappers. It launched 3 mappers, but counter says 5 mappers. In the 5 mapper tasks, 2 mappers are killed due to some problem. Okay. So 3 are launched. If you see when the job is started, at that time also it is clearly shown the number of splits equal to 3. Number of input splits. If you guys remember number of input splits, does it shown anywhere number of blocks? No. So it means input split is getting calculated based on your input path. Okay, nowhere it's mentioned number of blocks. So your Mapreduce uses input split to launch a job. Okay, go to the output WC. This is our output. And this is the part file. Part R underscore success file is 0 byte file. If this file is created, it means your job is success. And part hyphen R it means it is reducer output. Reducer output. So this is the output. You may surprise why space and all those things. You not to worry. This is a little because the data is a huge data. Some places the data has a tab separated. That's the reason. So you can look at here. Huge amount of the data is there. So 6,000 these many times it came, 720 times it came. So you can look at more are into same, because this repeated copy pasted data, that's why it is more came multiple times we copy pasted. So if you see formats only 3 times. Okay, understand guys, this is how your Mapreduce works. So this is how the Mapreduce works, and I have shown you a sample program. Okay, so please execute this program in your environment, both the modes, local mode as well as MR mode. So what we will be going to do tomorrow we will be doing tomorrow we will be seeing the debugging, how to debug the my MR Mapreduce job tomorrow, in the sense next class. Any doubts still here? Any doubts? Okay, thank you guys.